Are you going to go?
No, I can't. I was booked, but then the booking got canceled.
Are we surprised?
Yes.
You should go to China.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Juliet. My name is Michael Boudreau. Matt Donnelly, Penn and I are broadcasting from the Show Creator Studios South in Las Vegas. On this week's show, we'll be talking about dunk tank clowns. Penn flew with presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. We might get to hanging with Joe Rogan, and Penn just finished the book Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Jay. Here he is preaching love, Mr. Penn Juliet.
Yeah, I'm preaching love. I'm preaching love, and I'm feeling good.
Whoa.
You know, people come up to me after the show, and they say, how you keep preaching love, and it makes me very, very happy. You know, I came up with that. That wasn't built into Penn Sunday School. When I got the idea for doing a show on Sunday called Penn Sunday School, it was made to be sarcastic.
Full of hate.
And ironic.
Bile.
Not full of hate and bile, but a little bit of hate and bile. A little bit of sarcasm. A hint.
Of bile.
Hellfire.
And then I said preaching love one day, and it felt right. It came true. And I really feel like that's it. You know, I just spent, and this, some people have heard this. And I think we're going to show it, we're going to play it on this show too. But I did a show with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Right. And we did a full 2 hours. He likes to do 3. We did 2 hours. And I will tell you, the Joe Rogan studio is the most masculine place. I mean, masculine like a huge, it's an industrial park place. It's a huge gymnasium-sized room with polished concrete floors and beautiful artwork on the wall that is all mugshots of famous people. Lenny Bruce, Steve Tyler, Frank Sinatra, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix.
Collection.
All up in the mugshots. And then antlers from things that were hunted and a bow range and fancy cars parked, and then a full gymnasium workout, right?
Yeah.
Full gymnasium workout with all the weights.
The big plate ones, big flat plate
all
ones?
the big flat plate ones.
All say 25 pounds?
No. All Captain America shields.
Wow.
And the newest equipment you could ever have. Absolutely new and clean. And then a couple of guys just standing around. And it is, you know, one of the guys there said, you know, it's the ultimate man cave. But I don't even, you know, that trendy word, I don't even know what it means. But in this case, it's not like a sofa with beer and cigarette butts.
Right.
It's like big and open and agoraphobic. And there is one room that
More
is
like bat cave than man cave.
yes, his isolation tank.
Yeah.
You know, where he spends like 2 hours floating in salt Epsom salts, right?
Salts, yeah.
And coffee machine, nothing else. And then he has his studio, which has, you know, handmade clocks, armor, and chainmail in it.
My goodness.
You know, it is just, and the colors are just cement gray and red.
Wow.
You know, and then everything seems like this combination of like Timothy Leary and bass fishing. I mean, it is so crazy intense.
Smell like leather and gasoline?
Yes. No, it doesn't smell like anything. That's the other thing that's amazing. There's no smell.
Wow.
No smell. What? And the lights are all even. You know what I mean? There isn't like one pointed light. It's all just bright. And the cars, there are cars there that presumably drive on the street, but are pristine. I don't think there was a fleck of dust anywhere. Clean, 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 clean. You know? And then weird-ass paintings of Joe Rogan eating chicken wings. And then a book, and by
Part
book,
of a collection.
like 5 feet by 4 feet, a book on a stand that is just pictures of animals in Africa. You walk in there, it's like, brrr, you know? And there's guys walking around and they're not talking to each other. They're just walking around.
Yeah.
And there are screens everywhere with 30 cameras that are showing around everywhere, every angle. So you see yourself from 5 angles as you're walking around. And it's big and open. I mean, there's a room that's the studio, but I'm talking about the area, which is big and open. And, and there's restrooms that have man symbol, female symbol, and then says, whatever, just wash your hands. And, original Lenny Bruce posters from the Fillmore. And I just couldn't believe it. It was like a place, I'd never been in a place like that before. It was a place that it was.
And you've been in some places.
It was the opposite of cluttered. And yet, when you usually see that kind of stuff, there's a certain kind of twee quality to the minimalism. But this was like open, masculine minimalism. I'm using the word masculine. That's a bullshit term, but I'm using it culturally for that purpose.
Right.
And the other thing is that Joe Rogan, first of all, as far as I can tell, every human being on the planet listens to Joe Rogan.
At least at some point.
I believe there's 7 billion followers of Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I got email from people who have never seen me on anything. People that I haven't talked to in 10 years going, heard you on Joe Rogan, man. And there's no gender to it. There's no age to it. Everybody listens to Joe Rogan. And I think the reason is Joe Rogan is amazing to be interviewed by. Because Joe Rogan, I believe, when you're talking to him, is not loading the chamber. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You're talking and he's listening. And there's no that Jon Stewart that you could say, my father died. And you go, well, when's your new movie coming out? He doesn't seem to have anything loaded. He listens to what you say and then he responds. Now, I've respected Joe for a really long time.
Yes,
and even thought when he was really silly, he's like the only person that can talk about we didn't go to the moon and you can disagree with him, but he doesn't seem silly.
Right.
And he sat there and got very close to having me try psychedelics right there on the air with him. I mean, he was really spitting distance from it.
Yeah.
And even leaned over and opened up his box.
Yeah.
We can just go right in this box, Penn. It'll happen right now. It wasn't hypothetical. It was not hypothetical. And Joe has this quality, and it's really troubling me. It's troubling me a little bit because there's a few people, Joe Rogan, Glenn Beck, Greg Gutfeld. These are people that a lot of stuff I don't agree with them on.
Right.
I mean, really profoundly don't agree. But all of them, and I don't mean to clump them together because they have a lot of differences and understand that, but they all are searching. These are all real adults, deep into adulthood. These are old men, all of them. Every one of them over 50, right? Every one of them more than halfway through their life. And yet they have the kind of conversations with you that you had when you were 16, you know? And it was so inspiring because I'm often embarrassed by having that clawing feeling of I want to know more and where am I wrong and that kind of stuff. But Joe and Glenn and Greg wear it on their sleeve. You get the feeling when you're talking to Joe, you never get the feeling you're pissing up a rope. Mm. You can get the feeling that the next thing you say, Joe might go, oh, yeah.
Right.
You get the feeling he could say that any moment.
Right.
And you also get the feeling that he fully expects it from you.
Right.
Fully expects from you that if he gives you information that you didn't have before, you might change your mind.
Right.
He fully expects it. Glenn Beck, same thing. You sit with Glenn Beck, man, and people ridicule Glenn Beck because he cried on the air about this and because he reversed himself 180. on things. Completely changed his mind. Flipped on Trump, flipped on this, flipped on that.
Right.
You know, and I'm backstage with Glenn Beck, and he is doing this thing where he is pulling out his collection of, he's going to have Thomas Jefferson stuff. And he's going to have Orson Welles stuff. But also, he is a nut for Martin Luther King. I mean, Glenn Beck is obsessed with Martin Luther King and has real notes, Wrote this when he was in jail, tells you stuff.
Right.
And you're out there with Glenn Beck, who can speak all the time about everything. And when you're talking to him, his brow wrinkles, could be, And Greg Gutfeld, less than the other two, because Glenn Gutfeld's job now has him on prime time on Fox, with all that stuff going on, and that's his living and stuff like that. But in private emails, Greg Gutfeld, you get the feeling that if you just wrote the right paragraph to Greg Gutfeld, he would say,
everything would change.
I think I'm a Democrat. He could just say that, instantly. Now, I want to say, and this is also a crazy random sample. I'm not saying this is scientific. Lawrence O'Donnell Jr., one of my best and oldest friends in the world. You guys know how much I love LOD, how much time I spent with him. Never got that feeling once. Never got the feeling once that you could say anything to LOD and knock him off what he believes.
What about Tim Jennison?
Tim Jennison, you could knock him off instantly of anything you believe. Tim Jennison is what I was getting to. Tim Jennison had this thing he told me that, boy, is it a test that Joe and Glenn and Greg pass, especially Joe Rogan. This is the greatest test, Tim says. Tim says, if you give me 2 data points and the third doesn't surprise me, I'm a little less interested in talking to you. If you tell me you're vegan and you're against nuclear power, and the next thing you say is you like the Grateful Dead, okay, I think I understand what you're about. But if you say to me, I was just at a Dead concert, and man, I love the Dead, and I'm completely vegan, and boy, we've got to get the country turned to all nuclear power. He said, then I've got someone I can talk to. And Joe Rogan, I'm telling you, you get 2 or 3 data points from Joe Rogan, you do not know what the 4th data point is.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And I'm beginning to think, Tim Jennison told me this 25 years ago, and I thought, well, that's a cute little turn of phrase thing. That's kind of nice. But as I've gotten older, it's become more and more important. But it doesn't simmer down to, I want your personality to be surprising, eclectic. It comes down more to just the idea of searching. A person I know that's very close to Bob Dylan, said, Bob is whatever he is, 78 years old, and he is still searching absolutely as intently as when he was 16. He's still going through the books you read when you're 16. He's still reading Siddhartha. And he's still reading On the Road,
sure.
and he's still reading, Sartre. Simone de Beauvoir, still clutching and searching and growing. And out of these people that I respect so much, you get nut stuff. You get Bob Dylan's Christian period. You get Joe Rogan, We Didn't Go to the Moon. You get Glenn Beck, everything. Because they are open and searching and learning.
They're
and
learning.
growing.
And learning
but
is the
learning
whole
is
thing.
learning is not the whole thing. Because learning, LOD is learning every single second. Lawrence O'Donnell knows more stuff all the time.
But it's direction driven.
But it's this learning, but learning in your philosophy as well.
Yes.
It's learning in your philosophy as well. It's not just learning information that fits in with your philosophy. It's going, geez, where am I wrong?
Where does that lead?
Where am I wrong? Wow, could I believe that? Is that possible? And first of all, when I talked to Joe Rogan about We Didn't Go to the Moon, my first reaction was, he's just a nut. Right. He's just a pothead nut. Shut the fuck up. What are you doing? And then I realized, I mean, we did go to the moon. But I don't know many people who are willing to do all the research to question that.
Right.
You know? And I don't even care if you make the wrong decision. The fact that in my peer group, there aren't many people who would be willing to go against the grain enough to say, let me look into this. I guess go against the grain enough to be wrong.
Right.
You know, and I think what I respect most, what troubles me is Joe Rogan, Glenn Beck, Greg Gutfeld could be considered in some way conservatives, are painted that way. Although all three of them not thrilled with Trump.
Right.
But of course, Trump is not in any way, shape, or form a conservative.
No.
So that doesn't really change that. But it's interesting that the people that I know, and I'm using, you know, Lawrence O'Donnell's out there alone in an example because he's the famous one that I know, you know. And I don't know Rachel Maddow that well, but the little bit I've talked to her, and but I know an awful lot of liberals, as we all do. And Lawrence O'Donnell is a very good example of that. Colbert, another good example. I mean, when Colbert said, whenever that, it's a great line, I'm going to misquote it, but the truth skews liberal or whatever he said, what was that wonderful thing? Anyway, but the truth has a liberal bias.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. They know a lot of stuff. And I also want to say that the liberals probably, when you bring in the social stuff, I agree with much more. Probably more than the three I named.
Right.
But that searching thing is such an inspiration. I want to be more honest and more open about that, especially here where we're talking on Sunday school. I want to go down crazy roads and really let ourselves not toe the party line. You know, I've been thinking that maybe we should do one show where we all make our best arguments for God. without any sort of sarcasm or spin or anything, but dig in and find a little bit of doubt in us and run down that road. I mean, I don't think I can be like Dylan and be born again Christian for 3 years, but wouldn't that be something? Certainly would make me a lot of fucking money. Jesus Christ. If I went Christian and put out a book, can you imagine how much fucking money I would have?
How long do
How long do we have to do it?
By the way, Piff has said that if I go Christian, he's my manager. He's already got in on that. Phyllis Diller, I don't know if I told you this. When Phyllis Diller came to our show off Broadway, this is before I knew her, you know, she came to our show in like 85. And I didn't even know that Phyllis Diller was a hardcore atheist. Right. I didn't know any of that stuff about Phyllis. Right. I just knew that my mom loved her for being essentially a tough woman, you know, and not compromising on that. I mean, my mother, it's one of the reasons I get so upset with people who think that the whole women in comedy thing starts in the 21st century. Because when you've got Phyllis Diller and Joan Rivers, there may have only been a couple of them.
Right.
But they were fucking powerful.
Yeah,
Sure.
And Phyllis Diller, we were doing the Bible test at that time where we had someone pick a verse from the Bible and predicted it in advance. A long, you know, as Handsome Jack's favorite bit.
Yeah.
15 minutes of me preaching biblical stuff, all rooted in atheism, right? So I meet Phyllis Diller for the first time, and Phyllis Diller says, if you ever want to become Christian and go on that circuit as preaching, I will bankroll you any amount of money that you want to get started, and I will just take a piece of it. That's all I want. Because she said, you, more than a comedian, more than a magician, you are a preacher. And she said, I know you don't believe in God. I don't either. But if you ever want to make money, talk to me.
Some of my favorite Penn and Teller hunks are when you're in your most preachery self.
I do like doing the preacher stuff.
Yeah,
I do like doing the preacher stuff. I'm gonna talk a little bit here about. I'm gonna do this ad first. We haven't done this ad before. Okay. This is a new person, and you would be surprised because I had to look into this one and decide what they're going to do. I mean, Dustin will tell you how many ads we turn down.
Yeah.
All these companies come to us with ads.
He hates us.
He hates us. And we say no. We say no because we won't have jive. But this is real medicine. I'm going to read what they say. With age comes wisdom, but getting older can also be a downer in one area specifically. You know where I'm going. 40% of men by age 40 struggle from not being able to get and maintain an erection. Yes, we're doing an ad for this. Why do guys turn to weird solutions or do nothing when they can turn instead to medicine and science? Expensive pills, injections, where no man wants an injection. You don't want an injection in your dick. I guess they were supposed to be winking on that, and I said it outright. I go to my doctor, and he does preliminary stuff on that. We don't talk about it very seriously. There's this company now, ForHims, ForHims.com. There are so many ways to spell that. ForHims. Boy, there's ways to spell that. ForHims, ForHims.com. One-stop shop for hair loss, skin care, and sexual wellness for men. There you go. There you go.
There you go.
It's all there. Hims connects you with real licensed doctors. They've underlined real licensed doctors.
Yeah.
I think doctors is what they need to say. And FDA-approved pharmaceutical products to treat ED, which is ED, which is erectile dysfunction.
Mr. Erectile Dysfunction.
Well-known generic equivalents to brand name prescriptions to help you combat ED. Combat ED. Prescription solutions backed by science and made more affordable. You can see the results. You can check it out. So easy. I mean, this is the easiest, most private way to do this stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to check this stuff out. Try Hims for a month today for just $5. $5. That can't be right. Is it $5? Is it really $5?
Yeah, it's $5.
We'll get you started for just $5 while supplies last. Prescription products are subject to doctor approval and require an online consultation with a physician who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details and safety information. This would cost hundreds if you went in person to a doctor's office or pharmacy, that's for sure. Go to forhims.com/Penn. That's ForHims.com/Penn. Forhims.com/Penn. I'll do another one of these right now.
Given that it's Sunday school, shouldn't we actually write a hymn apiece?
We certainly
for this
should.
commercial.
We certainly should.
For him.
We should have 4 hymns. For Ed.
Oh dear Ed.
That's your assignment.
But if we
week.
did that, then we would screw up the spelling. We would confuse them on the spelling. We all love. I don't even know. I mean, this is an ad that's just such a no-brainer. We all know Johnny Katz.
Yeah.
We all love Johnny Katz. Johnny Katz has been on this show. Johnny Katz is a good guest on this show.
Yeah.
Johnny Katz is a good writer. Johnny Katz has a podcast. Podcasts. That's K-A-T-S. Podcasts. P-O-D-K-A-T-S. Bang. Exclamation point at the end. Las Vegas Entertainment. New episodes every Monday. Most recent episode featured David Copperfield. Fast guests also include Piff the Magic Dragon, Dana Carvey, Craig Ferguson, Perez Hilton, Ice Cube, Wayne Newton, Carlos Santana, my neighbor.
Yeah.
It is.
To find the show, search Podcasts Las Vegas Entertainment. That's Podcasts Las Vegas Entertainment, wherever you get your podcasts. Podcasts, yeah. Most recent episode, Kat sat down with my friend David Copperfield.
It's a two-parter.
Who talked all about what it's like to go on Penn and Teller Fool Us.
He did.
Did you listen to it?
I did listen to it.
Is it great?
It's a great interview, and the podcast sure loves to hedge on the whole you fool them thing.
Oh, Copperfield does?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let him hedge all he wants. But he's not mean-spirited.
No. It's very funny. I laugh very hard.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Copperfield and Teller were talking for 4 hours. And then they continued it in email.
Yeah.
It's very, very tricky. Yes, David, you knew key card. We knew you knew key card. That you need more than key card, David. You need more than key card. That's what it comes down to. You want to know what you're going to be talking about. But listen to the podcast. To find that episode, every episode, search Podcats Las Vegas Entertainment. That's PODKATS Las Vegas Entertainment. Wherever you get your podcasts. You can go subscribe right now. We'll still be here.
Oh, one of his latest ones, he interviewed Ross Mollison, the guy behind Spiegel World.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice. Was it a good interview?
It was a good interview, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he's actually done 5 episodes since the David Copperfield one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
From the corrections department.
But yeah.
And you are the corrections department.
He interviews one person who just has a bunch of stories about Prince, working with Prince.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who has that story?
I don't know the name offhand. Sorry.
Doesn't matter. Cool. So I want to segue into my still searching thing. I just think it's really inspiring. Whenever I'm around one of those three or Tim Jennison, I am inspired to keep searching.
Yeah.
Make it hard.
I think it's hilarious. If any listeners to this podcast think that you aren't this personality type, it's hilarious.
Well, I worry that I'm not enough.
Well, there's something I articulated differently to my wife the other day about your transition to being more, like you talked about the preaching fun thing in this episode, right? Mm-hmm. I remember there was a time where I used to actually, preaching love, sorry. Mm-hmm. I used to actually explain that it was legit. There's a time when I first started co-hosting this podcast where I'm like, no, when he says preaching love, he means it.
Yeah, I did.
And that and there's a time where I used to have to explain, like when they go I always say, if you work with a celebrity, people want to go, how much of an asshole are they?
Yeah.
And you go actually, I used to always say, actually, he's like a big hippie. They say that all the time. He's a real big hippie. And people used to go no,
Well, bullshit always ended with the most hippie message possible.
Yeah.
Bullshit every show, no matter how fucking mean we were during bullshit, we'd always end with, hey, love everybody, man. Go out there. Remember that?
Yeah.
We'd always say, and I would always push for that. I mean, I'm afraid that was always me.
Yeah.
Saying, let's end with a really positive, sweet message.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I feel.
But on this podcast, I was thinking, you take a certain amount of pride in being a good businessman.
Yeah, that's probably not called for, but yes.
No, and that when you first, all your other transitions, except for this big latest one, you've always kind of found a fun way to bring along people who, I think you have a sense of who your community is, and you brought them with you. Even when you went into the diet, you used to pride yourself on being like, I don't give a shit about, the big vegan thing or whatever. I just happen to eat plant-based, blah, blah. And you made it like a really fun way to go into the diet. And then you made this turn with veganism.
I did.
And it is strange because of all the transitions you have made, this is the only one that blatantly it didn't seem like you were conscious of or bringing in your community with you through it.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
you were kind of like, I think this might turn a few people off, but fuck it, this is who I am. This is what's going on.
Yeah. There's certainly that.
And it didn't seem like that was going to sell more tickets to Penn and Teller. And you know what I mean?
It didn't. No,
right. And so it was the only. So for that, I think you deserve, in terms of the secret thing. I think you probably deserve a little more credit there than you think in terms of seeking that honesty there.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
Well, career-wise, when you started out, you guys were as big and loud and brash and tough and as hardline as you could be to get noticed, I feel like. And then when we started doing the radio show, it was the side of you that I hung out with, but no one else had ever seen.
Well, but the real change publicly, and this is so funny, the real change publicly was Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah.
Because Celebrity Apprentice, I went from bullshit to Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah.
And I decided, Annie Duke, a great poker player and great thinker, really.
Yeah.
Annie Duke. I said, why am I going on Celebrity Apprentice? She'd done 2 tours of duty, I think, on there. Yeah. And she was up against Joan Rivers, and it was really nasty. I said, why am I going? I mean, I know I'm going on to sell tickets because it's my job, but why am I going on? And she said, you should go on and show America that atheists can be kind.
Right.
So if you just do that, that'll be a wonderful goal. And that's all that went on in my head. I mean, other than all the business shit.
Yeah.
That's a complete lie.
Right.
My head was full of how can I do this in an entertaining way that I look good. But then for my real, I'm trying to avoid saying the word spiritual, but my real essential feeling going on was I want to show people atheists can be kind.
Right.
And I also found on Celebrity Apprentice for the first time ever that there was my New England upbringing, I wasn't ashamed of it. You know, my mom and dad brought me up with please and thank you, and and I never did any of that on bullshit. It was always aggressive, and I never did that on politically incorrect. It was always aggressive. And Celebrity Apprentice allowed me to explore being kinder, being gentle.
But we had conversations with people on the radio show that people never expected. You know, a Muslim could call in, and we would talk to him for an hour.
Yeah,
just one guy on the whole show, just to find out what he was thinking and why he was thinking it. And at the end of it, he didn't think Penn hates me because he's an atheist. At the end of it, we all were like, well, that was a great conversation. Thank you. It was such a change from what people's perception of you had been up until then.
Well, yeah. What I'm curious about is what you talk about with the bullshit stuff and the previous like Bad Boys of Magic element, things like that. I mean, that was a blast, right?
Yeah.
To start?
Yeah.
Like
blast, sure.
Enjoyed cursing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So at some point, did you ever feel like you had to honor that because you established it? Did it become less fun?
No, there was never that kind of decision made. You know, it was never. But you know, bullshit was tough because the pitch was that we were going to be as outlandish as the people we were in conflict with. You know,
taking on
the nuts, yeah. And so we wanted to be big personalities and do that. And also, it's very hard to do a science show at the time when Showtime was really trying hard to push obscenity and naked people.
Right.
You know, and now the time, you know, they still show bullshit all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why we get these notes saying, you know, I can't believe you haven't printed a retraction to that. And I go, it was 15 years ago. I have.
Yeah.
They've probably done 50 to 75 retractions of that particular idea. But just the fact that you saw it last night,
right?
You know, I can't do it to every individual. And, you know, a lot of bullshit I absolutely stand by.
Yeah.
And some of it, you know, as we talked to Clapper, which we haven't aired yet, but we talked to Clapper about our PETA show that we did on bullshit and exactly where we stand on that.
I think, yeah, like Pete Holmes actually said this great in an interview, and you actually sent an article to us before we got on there that we were going to get to, but this kind of ties in. But Pete Holmes was like, you know, we used to watch different types of comedy at different hours, and we used to not see it the next day. You know, he used to be like, you know, if you knew if you're watching a comedy show at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, it would be racier than if you're watching it at 8 o'clock.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah. He's like, and then what happens is then it goes on Facebook the next day and people are watching it at noon.
Yeah.
And they're a little taken aback by what they're hearing.
Everything's all scrambled up.
And before the internet, you wouldn't be held as easily accountable for opinions you had 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Because if you talk to anyone outside of media and be like, hey, do you feel differently about stuff than you did 15 years ago? Everyone's answer is yes.
Well, now they're doing that thing. You know, the Republicans they've gotten $1 million or a couple $1 million to just go through liberals' old tweets.
Yes.
From the moment it started.
Yeah.
To find stuff to use against them.
Yeah.
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 You're not allowed to flip-flop. You can't learn anything.
Yeah. Ever since, what's her name? Sacco. What's her name? Janice Sacco. When everything changed. Woman who flew to Africa.
Yeah.
And said that, hope I don't get AIDS.
Yeah.
In a tweet to 39 followers or 75 followers.
Yes.
And then had lost her job by the time she landed.
And I think that's so
because the mob wanted to show how big their dicks were. We can get this poor woman fired.
Yeah.
They didn't care about the issue. Nobody thought, not one person thought that she was worried about getting, I mean, it was just a joke that wasn't much
And
of a
not
joke.
anyone who found that tweet to publicize it was like, I'm worried about Africa's reputation.
Yeah.
I need to get them out here.
Not one
to
person.
protect Africa.
It was not, and it was all, I think, it was all just predominantly men,
Yeah.
wanted to beat up a woman.
Yeah.
I think it might be that simple.
Yeah.
And then they had the AIDS joke to be able to use that to hide behind, because they've done all these studies that are horrifying. That if you put a traditionally female name on a Twitter account, the hostility goes up by like a factor of 3.
Oh my God.
It's horrible.
That's
And so they've tried the exact same things with a male name and a female name, and it would make you grab your head and scream. All that sexism actually ends up being real. And speaking of that, we're going to talk about my meeting Marianne Williamson.
Job.
Marianne.
Oh, no,
Marianne
you're not going to
Williamson.
do that one. You're going to do the... All right.
What do you think my sexism job? What do you mean?
I thought we were talking about the dunk tank.
No. We'll talk about that later. Okay, Stamps.com. What can we say? If you are not using Stamps.com and you have sent one letter ever in your life, you're an idiot. And you can fix that by going to Stamps.com. No one really has time to go to the post office. You're busy. Who's got time for all the traffic, parking, lugging all your mail and packages? It's a real hassle. That's why you need Stamps.com. One of the most popular time-saving tools. Mickey Mouse. For small businesses, Stamps.com eliminates trips to the post office and saves you money with discounts you can't even get at the post office, which we don't understand. Stamps.com brings you all the amazing services of the U.S. Post Office right to your computer, whether you're a small office sending invoices, an online seller shipping out products, or even a warehouse sending thousands of packages a day. Stamps.com can handle it all with ease. It's just great. You simply print out the
postage, yeah.
Postage,
Sure.
24/7, any letter, any package, any class of mail, anywhere. You send it anywhere in the world. With Stamps.com, you get 5 cents off every first-class stamp, up to 40% off priority mail. Not how's that possible? Stamps.com is a no-brainer, saving you time and money. And it's no wonder over 700,000 small businesses already use Stamps.com. That number is so much smaller than it should be. Should be millions.
Everybody, yeah.
It should be everybody. Right now, our listeners get a special offer that includes 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital postal scale without any long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in
Penn.
That's Stamps.com, enter.
Penn.
Yeah, get that done. We got one more, HelloFresh.
Yeah.
HelloFresh doing vegan food.
They are.
Home-cooked meals made. HelloFresh makes cooking delicious meals at home a reality, regardless of your comfort in the kitchen. Step-by-step recipes to pre-measured ingredients. You'll have everything you need to get a wow-worthy dinner on the table in just about 30 minutes. Boy, cooking fresh at home is fabulous.
It is.
Say goodbye to endless grocery store trips and takeout food. HelloFresh has you covered. Eating takeout food at home, we've got to stop that, man. It's just never going to be healthy at all.
Always going to be a cup of salt.
Yeah. Always going to be what?
Cup of salt.
Cup of salt. Break out
These are great.
Break out of your dinner rut with HelloFresh's 20-plus seasonal chef-curated recipes each week. There's something for everyone from family recipes to calorie smart and vegetarian.
Vegetarian stuff's great.
Yeah.
It's not vegan, but it is vegetarian.
Yeah.
There's some cheeses.
There's some
You can also just leave the cheese out.
Leave the
Leave
cheese
the
out.
cheese out.
HelloFresh has more 5-star recipes than any other meal kit, so you've got something delicious coming. Add extra meals to your weekly order, as well as yummy add-ons like garlic bread and cookie dough. Easily change your delivery days, food preferences, and skip a week whenever you need. This is a very good thing. I haven't had. Have you had HelloFresh?
Yeah, they sent them to me instead of you.
I was waiting for mine.
Damn,
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
That was great. Great recipes. I got 3 last week, and they were all delicious.
Tell me
vegetarian. Poblano peppers, stuffed poblano peppers.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, really nice. Like a caprese, a vegetable caprese.
And you are a cook.
Yeah.
But if you weren't a cook, could you have done it?
This is so. You know what? My kids do it.
Oh, really?
That's the greatest part about it is I hand them this bag of stuff and say, you guys make dinner, okay? And everything is pre-measured and, they're just cutting the stuff up and cooking it and they're doing a great job. It's almost teaching them to cook.
For $80 off your first month of HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/Penn80.
Penn 80.
Penn80.
All right.
PENN80. You got to do a little more. You got to remember something now.
You want $80 off? You got to write 80?
Yeah.
That's rough.
HelloFresh.com/Penn80. Penn80. That's like getting 8 meals for free, you know. $20 off your first 4 boxes. This is a great deal.
Food.
It's a great deal. Great food. It should be sent to me, and I'm not thrilled about that. So I'm going to fly.
Wait, the last sponsor is votepenn.com. We have 24 hours left here. Go to votepenn.com.
If you're listening now,
yeah,
as soon as you listen to this, go to, what is it?
Votepenn.com.
Votepenn.com.
Yeah.
Votepenn.com. Go instantly to that right now.
Yeah.
And vote at USA Today for us to be the most popular show in Las Vegas, which is something that's good for you. Because what's good for Penn is good for America.
That's correct.
Even if you're in England, even if you're in Australia, what's good for Penn is good for the world.
That's right.
If you're wherever you're listening, go to votepenn.com and vote for us. Just because if someone else wins it, it'll go on the billboards and be embarrassing. If we win it, we won't mention it. Okay? So do it for that reason.
You know what else we need to get in this show?
What's
Matt is on Fool Us on Monday night.
Have you seen it yet?
September 9th, Matt is on Fool Us.
What's the name?
September 9th, Matt.
September 9th, Matt Donnelly on Full Us. September 9th.
Mind noodling.
Monday night.
Mind noodling.
You'll be mind noodling like a freak.
I am.
That was a good performance.
It was a fun performance.
Did you go off stage and go, yes?
I did feel good when I went off
Did
stage.
you go, yes?
Yes, I looked at my fist like Tiger Woods does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my fist did something.
I looked at my fist is right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were very good on it.
Well, thank you.
You were very good.
It was fun to do. It was also fun because in the rehearsal process, people did not understand that it was going to go well, which was great.
I like that.
Why is that great?
I left rehearsal and be like, people were not laughing in the room, and that was a little tough.
That's the joy of comedy variety act. You get to go and rehearse in front of people, and they go, "This is awful." Well, there's no crowd.
There's no crowd.
There's no speed. There's no timing.
Yeah, and they've seen your tape, so they know. Especially with magic, they know what's coming.
Yeah.
And so like everyone just knew what was going on in the rehearsal room, and I was like, well, this is not as fun. Also. My bit involves you guys. I call Penn and Teller up onto the stage, and so having other people play you for rehearsals also is you're just not going to get what you're going to get from 2 world-class entertainers. So it was very fun.
I don't know. Interns are pretty good.
You know, I'll say what's funny was for this show it was fascinating. I've worked on the show for a while, and then no one else has done what I'm doing, which is to go on the show as a contestant after working on the show or while working on the show, for good reason. No.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
We went on the show.
Yeah. You went and did it for Copperfield. So
did we fool them? I don't know. Still up in the air. Copperfield, and I just hope that when Copperfield dies and when Teller dies, that they are in a hospital in beds next to each other. So they can be going, I had the key card. But there was more to the key card than just the key card. How you didn't know the punch thing in the pocket?
So I've seen countless rehearsals where they come in and all of a sudden all the TV people who work on the show that are in charge of making amazing television happen go, hey, we're going to make some adjustments. Can you do this? Can you do that? And magicians always push back like, well, my show's this kills, so I don't know if I want to do that kind of thing or whatever. And every time I'm in rehearsal, I'm always just like, look at the magician like, hey, buddy, these guys are in charge of making amazing television. They know it doesn't. How many television shows do you have? Why don't you listen to the TV people, right? And then the very people that I know called me when I was a contestant and be like, hey, we looked over your tape. Our primary thoughts are, we're going to get you a chalkboard or whatever. And I was like, chalkboard? And immediately I was like, totally pushing back.
No. When I do this in my...
when I play...
it's me.
Exactly. It's like when I play in front of hundreds...
I've done this twice. What are you talking about?
that won't work. And what was funny is immediately I want to push back and be like, these suits don't know shit, whatever. And you're like, oh, wait. And I really did have the forethought to be like, oh, wait a second. You've been in this conversation. You've been around this conversation. Hold on, listen to what they're saying and try to figure out why they're saying it. And then try to come up with solutions. And then through that, I really did, it changed the way I performed the trick from that point on. and I've done it now on the road since Willis, and
they're always wrong and they're always right. That's what we've discovered. They're wrong for why they're saying it.
Yeah.
They're right that it's missing something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's the fun part about that. You will not see a chalkboard in my performance.
I want to talk what I was setting up with the Joe Rogan, Glenn Beck, Greg Gutfeld thing.
Yes.
Was me being on the airplane. I got in the airplane to fly to Chicago because we were doing Milwaukee. Huh, Penn, why would you fly to Milwaukee to do Milwaukee? Well, turns out Milwaukee doesn't have direct flights at a time that I like to have direct flights.
Okay.
Also, Chicago is where I can hang out with Tony Fitzpatrick and Steve Conrad.
Yes.
My boyfriend, who I'm in love with because of his wonderful shows, Patriot and Perpetual Grace Limited, which was great on the Joe Rogan show. Joe said, we can do another hour. Why do you have to leave? I said, I'm talking to Steve Conrad. I got to leave and meet Steve Conrad. And he said, who's this fucking Steve Conrad? So I told him about Perpetual Grace Limited. So Joe's got a treat coming to him. So that's why I want to go to Chicago. So I'm about at the airplane. And there in the gate, at the gate, there is a small, trim, intense woman, about my age, maybe a little older, very trim, very fit, very intense, and she's on the phone. And as she's walking around, she gets my attention because in an airport where you've got, 500 people within your range of sight, she is the one that your attention is all drawn to. Right? I just go, she's interesting. And she's also carrying herself not like a person in their 60s, but she's carrying herself like a person in their 20s. Very intense. And I get on the airplane with her. I have the transcript here, so I'm going to look over it. I get in the airplane with her, and she is in the row in front of me, against the window, and I'm in the row behind against on the aisle. And I'm watching her, and she is doing a lot of different things. Just a little bit of texting, then she talks to the guy next to her, and then looks at the movies, and a little bit of a book, And then she stands up and walks up and down the aisle of the airplane, just looking around and just like thinking. And then she looks at me and says, how do I know you? I know you. How do I know you? I know you. And I say my usual answer, which I think is a cute little joke. I say, we used to date. That's what I do. Now, that's what I usually say, especially when a very, very identified heterosexual man, like over 40, says, how do I know you? I go, we used to date. And then I usually go on with it and go, but you never call me anymore. Why is that? And the thing is, our world has gotten so much better that very often they play along. They go, well, the last time you just seemed a little standoffish and I wasn't happy with you when we had dinner. They'll do that as they start to catch on.
Oh, good.
But though I love doing this, my favorite answer.
Yeah.
But see, she is the right age that could be something that I actually could be saying. And she says, I know that's not true. And I say, I'm on TV once in a while. And she says, what's your name? I say, I'm Penn. She goes, oh yes. And I say, she goes back and sits down. So we're now talking through the crack of the seat. I have a seat partner, so does she. We're talking through the crack. And I go, she goes, Marianne Williamson. I go, oh, yeah. How you doing? She goes, sits down. I lean over and I go, I was just going to read an article on you. I downloaded it. I have it on I was just going to read an article on you. She goes, New York Times Magazine from tomorrow? The New York Times Magazine from tomorrow? I go, I don't know. Maybe it's the New Yorker. She goes, there's that one too. Some are good, some are bad. And I said, well, maybe I could learn more about you just watching over your shoulder. A long pause. She looks at me and goes, you're some sort of super lefty, right? I say, nope. She says, super righty, right? I say, kinda libertarian. Long pause, thoughtful. That Joe Rogan moment. She goes, as I get older, I get more libertarian. Now, if that was Joe Biden saying that, you'd say, well, he's just trying to get in the libertarian vote. He's just trying to do that. But with her, I believed her completely. And I say to her, yeah, I think you should always consider if a problem could be solved with more freedom instead of less. I mean, the first question should be, can we solve it with more freedom? And sometimes the answer is no. But that should be where she starts. And she goes, yeah. And then I bragged to her that I was on Trump's most hated list. That was number 7 for a while. We were on Broadway. And that I did 2 tours of duty on Celebrity Apprentice. And that I wouldn't support him for president. And he trashed us on the show and that Broadway hates us. I said, he just really hates me. She goes, good for you. And then I said, I know him well, and I've told everyone that he's worse than they could imagine. And now he's worse than I could imagine. And she says, you think he's bad now? Wait till the second term. Which is really nice. And she goes, that'll be really scary, really scary. And she is so full of life and bubbling. Now, I know she's a nut. Yeah. I mean, I know she's not crystal healing. She made that very clear. But she is, Course of Miracles and
spiritual
prayer.
Kind of stuff.
And we can all wish away the hurricane.
Yeah.
And she's, nuttier than a shithouse rat.
Yeah.
But boy, looking at her, she just had that, I'll change my mind. I'll grow. I'll change. And she was just bubbling with just like intense, like love that scares you. She was very pleasant about everybody, but it was an intense pleasant. So she says, we got to get him out of the second term. We got to do that. And I go, well, we're all doing what we can. She goes, yeah. And I go, nice to meet you. She goes, yes. We turn back to what we're doing. And then I get off the plane. And as I'm walking off, I go by her seat and I go, Ms. Williamson, my friend Brandon was trying to get you on our podcast. And he goes, yes, podcast. Yeah, I'd like to be on that. You have a podcast. Yeah, I want to be on that. And I go, good. And she says, Jeff, right? I said, no, Penn. She goes, yeah, Penn. I don't know. Jeff? Close.
No, she just did an episode of Jeff and Yeller's podcast.
And so she then hands me your phone. Just gives me your phone. Says, put in your address. So I'm there in her email, which is wonderful. I should have sexted her right then. And I write my email. I was just going to send my email address out loud. Probably shouldn't do that. After giving away Godot's password.
You'd think at some point you'd learn.
So I type in my email address and I hand it to her. And she takes the phone back, looks at it, goes, Penn. And I walk off the plane. I walk up the jetway, just up the jetway. You know how long that takes?
Yeah.
Not that long. Get to the top of the jetway. I pull off to the side, trying to find where my driver is, stuff like that. So I pull out my phone. I have a new message. It is from Marianne.
Yeah.
I've typed in my own address. And then she's brought in her campaign manager. And she says, hey, this is Penn Juliet.
Yeah.
He wants to have me on his podcast. It'll be fun. Let's make it happen. And I write back, well, I'm adding my guy in, the long-suffering Glenn.
Yeah.
And just so your records are proper, my name is Penn Gillette, not Juliet. And we can set this up. And then she's setting it up. So we are going to have, at some point in the future, Marianne Williamson sitting in one of those seats.
That'll be great.
And we'll all be talking to her.
That's fantastic.
And you would not have to ask me twice if I would choose her over Trump. But then again, that's true for my poodle dog. I think that she is, I just love someone that I disagree with so much on so much and yet have incredible respect for.
Right.
That's what we've discovered about every political candidate but one. When we've had people from politics on, we've always gone, God, I love that guy.
Yeah.
And I think, and I think even just, times be what they are. I think I think you'd rather have a qualified person you disagree with in a position than someone who's unqualified that you kind of agree with.
Well, you're saying she's unqualified?
No. I'm just saying that your poodle dog will appoint equally qualified people to cabinet positions.
Well, I keep running
wiener dog.
What I'm saying is I like your poodle dog.
I keep running this counterfactual.
Yeah.
And I want to tell people, and you can say that I'm wrong, but let me get this very clear. I am not kidding, and I am not exaggerating. This is what I believe. And please feel free to slap me down. I believe that if on my first tour of duty of Celebrity Apprentice, I had not written the article about his hair looking like cotton candy made of piss.
Yeah.
If I had just not written that, if I'd even said it to him, but just not written it. If, and these aren't even big ifs, if when I did the interview on the first time through, they had not asked me directly, would you support him for president? They asked me directly the first time. When I went on the second time, we came to the end and the producers came to me and said, will you support him for president? Okay. I believe I said no. And they said, well, it could affect who wins on this. And I said, no, I'm not going to support him. And they said, well, just maybe now you're thinking about you might support him. That would be fine.
TV.
I said, no, I'm not going to support him. Trace Adkins, who won, has never come out to support him.
No.
I don't know what Trace Adkins said in that room. I don't know.
Right.
We do know that Trace won after, as Bob Dylan says in Idiot Wind, you didn't think it could be done, but in the final end, he won the war after losing every battle. That's what he did. Bob Dylan says that's okay, so do I. But if I had said in that room, yes, absolutely, I will support him for president. And if, when I'd gone on Lawrence O'Donnell's television show on MSNBC, and if when Lawrence O'Donnell said to me, are you supporting Donald Trump? I had kept my word and said, yes, I'm supporting him. And then even told the truth. That is to say, I believe he has no filters. Washington needs to be disrupted. This is the kind of guy to put in. I believe I could have said positive stuff about Donald Trump that would not have been an outright lie in the granular level, a huge lie in the big level. But if I had been careful and chosen my words, and if I had gone to one rally and supported him the whole time without ever breaking it and without ever winking or rolling my eyes, I believe that Penn and Teller, providing Teller had gone along with this, which of course he wouldn't, but we're all doing counterfactuals.
Yeah.
I believe we would have been involved in the inauguration of Trump. And all this is leading up, and I'm waiting for one of you to call me crazy, because part of me thinks I'm crazy.
I'm just uncomfortable.
I believe I would have had a cabinet position.
We would be doing the podcast from the Oval Office today.
What do you think, Reddy? Omarosa. Omarosa.
Yeah.
Omarosa.
You'd have had a
She was
month.
the only one who supported him from the whole time. If there had been two,
I think you would have gotten fired within a week. There still would have been something that crossed him wrong.
but I didn't get fired within a week. I went all the way.
I mean, if you were in the cabinet
member.
Oh,
position.
yeah. Okay. Well, you give me the
As the head of the FAA.
I wasn't talking about what I would do after that. I was just saying, I would have been ambassador to Northern Macedonia.
Ambassador to Newfoundland.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Dominic?
You broke my heart, Fredo. You broke my heart.
I think you could have written an article about how the emoluments clause should be abolished. You'd probably be a Supreme Court justice.
Godot?
You'd have had some job.
I don't know what it was.
I would have been somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Cabinet
Said head
position
of
is
the
iffy, but I would definitely.
Minister of Magic from Harry Potter or something. He would have found something.
Putting Ben Carson in charge of HUD, really, it's all possible. Any position is possible.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. If I had not
EPA.
cracked ever.
Yeah.
EPA.
If I had been in the Oval Office when James Comey came in and said, now there's this asshole.
I mean, Rex Tillerson didn't think he was interviewing for Secretary of State when he was appointed Secretary of State. He was going to be like, I don't know why this guy wants to talk to me, and left being like, will you be Secretary of State? He's like, oh, sure. I mean,
if you'd done it, maybe I could have been a forest ranger. Maybe you could have appointed me.
I love Goodell's highest rank. Highest
That's the highest one I wanted, the forest ranger.
highest rung for Goodell is forest ranger.
What's better than that?
You can be that now.
I can't.
Why can't you be a
I'm
forest
too
ranger?
old. They won't let you go in if you're too old.
Is that true?
That's true.
Oh.
They won't. He's past like 45. They say, no, you can't be a forest ranger.
So that's like being in Menudo
Yep.
and being a forest
Yep.
ranger.
Yep. I'm out. I get an hourly job as a forest ranger, but they would not a full-time real job.
Which rung would you have wanted? Which, I mean,
Well, yeah, what would you want to do?
I don't want any. I'm just saying the counterfactual. I mean, I would have
What would you have accepted?
accepted ambassador to Canada.
let's say, like, who's a celebrity friend you have that would maybe run for president?
LOD, maybe.
Lawrence O'Donnell can't run for president. Although all bets are off.
All bets are off. But
The most likely, from what we know now about the country, is Gary Busey.
okay. I'm trying to think of friends. I'm trying to think of, like, say Tim. Let's say Tim Jennison ran for president. So someone you know and
Is there a
like.
better world than anywhere? Tim
No.
Jennison for president.
I mean, I have a job.
Yeah.
I don't want a different job.
Right.
I'm very happy doing the Penn and Teller show.
Yeah.
I'm very happy living in Vegas. This is where I belong.
Yeah.
Even if it was someone I didn't have to suck up to, unless I could be convinced that I needed to serve my country, which is an argument someone could make to me.
Yeah.
But I would always think that when someone said to me, Penn, you need to serve your country, I would be saying, by staying out of government, I am doing the most service I could possibly do for my country. You don't want me in any position of influence or power.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing the best. But I really believe, and I'm telling you, there's no joke in anything I just said.
Yeah.
I really believe, had I played it that way,
You've been vetted.
I would have been somewhere in Trump's White House.
Yeah.
Because the fact that I was number 7 in the New York Times in his most hated list,
Yeah.
the fact the President of the United States had an enemies list and I was on it,
Yeah.
means he was aware of me enough that I could have been on the other side.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Where there's hate, there's passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they liked you. That's why it hurt.
So we got so much more to talk about, but let's do another show in just a moment.
Yeah.
But for right now, let's say that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to Orleans
From the embassy in Canada.
Naked.
angels sang and round us rang the music
I don't know.
of the
My dream ticket, maybe Williamson Rogan 2020. What do you think? Williamson Rogan?
I'd vote for either of them.
It'd be pretty
In
good.
any position.
That would be a psychedelic White House. Would be a psychedelic White House.
The White House would be a good man cave.
You know we love you.